Well, hello there. Happy Valentine's Day. My name is Dave Beal. I want to welcome you to this new edition of News and Views, broadcast by Access LaPorte County on Public Access TV Channel 99. We are a weekly public opinion program addressing local, state, and national topics and issues of interest in Michigan City and surrounding areas. Opinions are the views and responsibilities of those making the comments and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of this program or its tri-co-producers, Larry, Curly, or Schmo. Opinions are the views and responsibilities. We will adhere to broadcast rules, but absolutely no one's First Amendment rights of freedom of speech or freedom of the press will be either muzzled nor denied. I've been saying that verbatim for the last going on 13 years, ladies and gentlemen. It's about time that the feds acknowledge it. Any unauthorized use of the accounts, descriptions, and events of this program without the express written consent of Larry, Curly, or Schmo is strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoy the program, the participants, and the discussion. Wow, a lot to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, today. But I think the major issue, I've always talked about transparency. Didn't I talk about transparency, guys?
No.
I never said anything about transparency. Oh, okay. Well, if you don't believe in transparency, then you turn the TV off and listen.
No, don't do that.
Listen to something else. The city of Michigan City, on the 5th of February, passed a resolution 4949. And it was the city of Michigan City's opposition to Senator Bohacek's legislation that will basically put the city of Michigan City in a city of a third class.
If we don't meet certain requirements.
If we certain requirements. Different people on the city council read portions of this resolution, but you know, I'm sort of slow and I don't grasp things properly. And so I had to get a copy of that resolution, and lo and behold, guess what I found? Okay. I found that one of the justifications of the city council of the city of Michigan City for its retaining the status of a city of the second class is that there is 22 residential apartments that's under construction, 90 condominiums and 160 hotel rooms, 500 residential apartments and a grocery store, 275 residential apartments through a workforce project. I wonder who that is going to house. New housing, TIF purpose, 160 mixed residential units, 44 townhouse, and 114 single-family housing. That's up on Paz Road. Well, if you take and you break the city council's justification for maintaining the Michigan City's city of a second class, you're going to see that there'll be 1,157 apartments and hotel rooms. Townhouses, single homes, and residential units, 318, and then 90 condominiums. That more or less summarizes that specific facet of the resolution. Well, if you take Indiana law that reads, by January 1st, 2027, if the population of Michigan City is less than 31,500 residents, it becomes a city of a third class as of January 1, 2027, based on the 2010 to 2020 census. So if you take the population of the Indiana State Prison and possibly some of the population of the workers who work there are going to relocate to Westville, and possibly some of the population of the families and relatives and inmates who have friends that are confined within the prison, that equals up to over 2,500 people. So if you take the 2,500 people and if you subtract those 2,500 people from the existing population of Michigan City, you come up with a head count of the population of Michigan City to be 29,159 people. Now, if you go back to the justification of maintaining its second-class status, it tells me that on its economic development concerns, number 4, it tells me that the city of Michigan City is utilizing the various projects going on in Michigan City to offset the loss of the prison population. Well, the question is, as of January 1st, 2027, if the city does not live up to its 31,501 population, the city will automatically go back to assuming the population of a city of a third class based on existing state law that stated the decennial census between 2010 and 2020 based on my interpretation of state law. So if you look at that, we've got, what is this, February of 20, within less than the next 2 years, again, we're going to lose population of the prison, okay? And are we going to have a mass exit, what's the word?
Exodus?
Not exodus, opposite of exodus. Are we going to...
Influx?
Yeah, are we going to have a mass influx of people to come in to Michigan City to fill those apartment houses and single-family homes and condominiums to then retain the status of a city of a second class in Michigan City based on this resolution? I have some questions. Finally, when you look at the people who signed this resolution, there were 6 individuals. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Go ahead.
There were 6 individuals who were at this city council meeting that adopted this resolution. But guess what? 7 people, including the people who introduced the resolution, was included in signing this particular signature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. But there were only 6 people that I saw on TV. I watched the entire presentation.
Did they zoom in?
Huh? He didn't zoom in because he's out of town. But yet his signature is right here. Here's his signature.
Huh.
So, is this a legitimate resolution? And normally, my understanding of my limited understanding of politics, I don't know. I know absolutely nothing. But a resolution is the sense of the council. That's my understanding of what a resolution is. Oh, this is also signed by the mayor. Signed by the mayor, and also, let's see, who else signed it? The mayor signed it, Gail Nylub signed it, and then 7 of the council members, of which 6 were only present to hear this resolution. My concern is this a valid resolution? That would be my first concern. And if we are a city of some substance, some intellectual substance, should we specifically mail out this particular resolution based on that item number 4 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, to 10 senators, and Bohachek, Pat Boy, Rodney Prohl, and then different representatives at the Senate and the state level. We're sending out them false information. Is that what? Am I making sense, or am I blowing hot air? Okay. Don't you think transparency should supersede? Somebody should have read this resolution.
Somebody hope they read it before they signed it.
They should
Or
have.
voted on it.
Huh? Well, it was approved, unanimously approved, 6-0, with one individual that was out of town, wherever he was. I'm just saying, by January 1st, 2027, if our population does not increase above 31,500 people, we are automatically going to become a city of a third class based on Indiana law, which is...
I don't think so. I
No,
think
that law has been pulled out.
that bill's been pulled, but the Indiana law does say that, but there's a carve-out that anyone that was a city of the second class gets to stay a city of the
Yes.
second class. In the law that's enforced today.
Tom Alavizo's put that through
Yes.
years ago.
So this,
So so then,
and the bill, and the Senate bill has been pulled. Doesn't mean it can't come back up. Can't be put in something else, so, but they pulled it, and then we sent the resolution to say we don't want it, even though it's been pulled.
well, I'm just saying for clarity's sake, is Michigan City's population going to enhance 2,400, 2,500 people?
better. With all the stuff we got going, it better.
If not, then what's going to happen?
Nothing,
Nothing, yeah.
nothing.
So
We're
then,
grandfathered in.
so then, was this resolution proper to begin with?
Well, it's on a legal size sheet of paper, so I think it's legal. That's what I was measuring. Is that some special
You're
size
going to have
bag?
people thinking this could become law. This is not law. This is just a resolution.
And this is just a
The
resolution.
resolution is the sense of the people.
Right.
The
Well,
sense of the council.
It's
Yeah.
the sense of 6 people.
Of 6
Okay.
people, and one anonymous individuals that his name appears on here, but
Wasn't at the meeting.
he wasn't at the meeting. Is this a legal document then?
How many members signed it that were there? 5?
Six.
Yeah, it's a
It's
legal
legal
document.
document, 6
It's
out
a
of
legal
9.
document,
Legal document.
6 out of 9,
but
right?
it's only a resolution. So
That's only a resolution.
I understand.
You
but
can pass a resolution.
I'm
that-
talking about the issue of today is transparency.
Yeah.
Okay, don't you think if I was there,
Okay, so when I usually see documents like that in any legal arena, and maybe you guys can help me if you've seen those in Michigan City, in any legal arena I see, the document has all the members on there, and the members that were there and voted for it signed, and the other members are left blank. That's not that document.
no,
That doesn't have 9 members.
no. And
As in
again,
transparency, you want to tell the people looking at the resolution who signed it out of who didn't sign or didn't vote for it.
correct. And 6 of those people who were there signed this resolution. 3 other people who were not there, only one of those 3, his name was included. I'm just saying for transparency and
Well, that's a good question. Do you have to be present to sign the resolution that you agree to, because it's just a resolution?
right.
yeah.
So I guess you could, any council person could sign it. Anyone could sign it at that point.
Because the
just a
people that don't
resolution.
sign it are indicating that they are opposed to it, in my opinion. So,
That's the thought that I had. But yet one of those 3 people signed it.
well, they weren't there, but he obviously is in favor of it, which is why he signed it.
Mm-hmm.
But you got a couple of people that didn't sign it, which is an indication, now it doesn't mean it legally, but it's an indication that they were not.
Yeah, they didn't ask to be added and signed,
Yeah.
even though they weren't there.
If I happened to be sitting there, which I will not, I would have looked through and I would have seen some discrepancies and I would have tabled this until all 9 people were there to approve this. I would think that would be the proper thing to do. That's all I'm
Is
saying.
it a good use of their time? That's really the question.
Now, next step.
For a bill that got pulled.
Now, the next step. Okay, this pertains to the city council. I'm not talking about ethics on the city council. The Committee on Ethics, in addition to such rules and procedures as it may adopt, shall have the duties and authority to provide in this section, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This pertains to Indiana Code, Indiana Ordinance number 3109 that was passed in 6/20 of '89 pertaining to a Committee on Ethics on the City Council. There was a situation that a member of one of the 6 members who signed this resolution, who attended this particular meeting, was pulled over by Michigan City's finest, requested for his driver's license and insurance card. He showed the insurance card but didn't show the driver's license because he said he left it at home. And when they searched his car, they found a empty container of alcohol, and when they searched his trunk, they found a 9mm or something to that about. The police also found a loaded semi-automatic handgun inside a bag in the trunk of his vehicle, and he refused a breathalyzer test. This is a member of the city council. Now, he will be arraigned sometime. I don't know what. But if you read if you read the language that exists pertaining to the Ethics Committee, they have a responsibility to censure by a majority vote. The councilman resigns to his committee appointment. The councilman respondent resigns to his office, refers any violation of law to the county prosecutor for action, expulsion of the common council by 2/3 vote. The committee shall recommend such additional ethics legislation to the council for consideration as necessary or desirable to ensure proper standard of conduct by city council members to carry out their duties. I don't know if an ethics committee exists, but it is an issue, in my mind, that has to be addressed.
Well, if it does not, they could very easily put one together, but go ahead.
Correct. It is an issue that could be addressed because
Well, it's the kind of thing that you generally would look at, but what they're probably going to do is wait to see what the county prosecuting attorney does.
You're innocent until
Because
proven
you do
guilty.
not want to interfere with their investigation, but go ahead.
well, then why was he arrested?
You're innocent until proven guilty.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
And everyone, and I am not in any way condoning anyone driving drunk or under the influence. But most of these times they plead down to some other smaller misdemeanor or some other punishment. But rarely is it ever a felony or they take their license.
Well, and a lot of times.
And I think they do lose their license while they're waiting, or they get a hardship license.
Well, according to this, he didn't have a license.
Well,
He said he
they
left.
get their privileges get taken away while they're waiting, or they have to ask for a hardship license in front of the court. But that's the first thing that happens for drunk driving, and you better be very careful because you might not be able to go to work. So that automatically happens, I think.
Right. Well, the other situation that could occur is they could, I don't know if he's ever had any kind of previous
Yeah,
offenses,
and previous
but if he
offenses.
hasn't, they're probably going to look at sending him to some type of a program to deal with the situation. Now, he's going to have to go through that and, in quotes, graduate that program.
And usually I think they do give you a punishment and something like a year or two that we will rescind it or wait, and if you're good for 2 years and you don't get in trouble again, then it's gone. But if you don't, then you serve that plus your next.
There's a term for that.
Yeah, I can't remember what the term is.
Now, initially, he was stopped for speeding and doing 60 miles an hour in a 30.
That was my question right there. If you were stopped for speeding, where's the speeding ticket?
Well, he refused to take a breathalyzer.
Well, you get a speeding
totally
ticket
different-
and you get a breathalyzer, and then you bring up a good point about a loaded gun in the trunk. Indiana's a right to carry state, but you got to be very careful, folks. You need to read the statute. Just because Indiana's a right to carry state, there are still rules on the books on where you can get in trouble for not having a permit to
But the
carry.
question would be, did he have a permit?
Yeah, if you don't have a permit, there are still things in Indiana you have to have a permit to carry. Just because we became a right to carry state does not open it up free and clear. Read the law. There are very specific instances where you still have to have a permit. It's not hard. I mean, it takes a little bit. It's pretty cheap. And you get a lifetime permit, so you need one. And something like this won't get you in trouble if you have a loaded gun in your glove box or in your trunk in a bag. I would suspect, and I'd have to read the law again, but I would suspect that is outside the bounds of open carry.
Okay, I'm just saying that we have a resolution that was signed by 7 members and only 6 attended a meeting. We have a situation about an ethics that sort of conveniently coincided within the month of February. And there are other issues going on in the city of Michigan City that talk about potential growth and potential development, and we cannot have stuff like this happen. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because we are a growing community, and we don't need. We've been having roadblocks put in our way for the last 50 years, and now we're on a verge of blossoming out into a unique situation, and yet we've got these questionable areas. Doesn't somebody read what they sign or read what I'm just looking for clarity and transparency. And there are other issues, again, going back to the redevelopment commission, that I could point out discrepancies as well. The redevelopment commission has failed. The original TIF district was established when Sheila was mayor in 1995. Between 1995 and 2022, the redevelopment commission failed to comply with paperwork that is mandated by the state to keep the state informed through their Gateway project, to keep them informed how the money is coming in. And until I spoke up in 2022, there was no city redevelopment cooperation until I spoke up, and Baker Tilly might have pulled some strings and clarified something. I'm just saying, 3 wrongs don't make a right. And we've got a city that is on the verge of blossoming into something, and we've got these little things that materialize. Who's watching a chicken coop?
Well, let me pick it up from here, because I've got a significantly different slant on things, I think. But I picked up a statement that was made by one of the city council people in discussing the situation of the hiring of 2 individuals for management positions. And please understand that this statement, as far as I'm concerned, only applies to management. It does not apply to hourly. It applies to those people who should, as part of their job description, have goals, have things that they have to achieve. And one of the ways you handle that situation is you look at the end of the year, did they achieve their goals? If they didn't, why not? Was there some kind of a roadblock put in their way? Now, if there was no roadblock and they did not achieve their goals, what do you do next? The same thing that Elon Musk is doing. You get rid of them. I'm sorry. You establish goals. Sometimes things go wrong. You have to account for that. And they can bring that up. But if they did not achieve their goals, because keep in mind, these are not people that go home with the hourly. Unfortunately, we have too many management people in the city, both in the school system and in our city system, that think that they get to go home at 4 o'clock when the hourly go home. I'm sorry, you're in management, and part of the Fair Labor Standards Act only applies to the hourly. You are exempt, and that's the term they use, from the hourly requirements. Let me read the statement that was made. People get overwhelmed with too many things, and what that does is you don't do any one job well. You know what your assignments are. You know what your goals are ahead of time. Should be at least 1 year ahead of time. So as a result of that, you have to, at that point, come forward, say, here's the reasons I think it will be difficult to meet these goals. If you don't do that, it's assumed that you will meet those goals, or should be. Unfortunately, in Michigan City, that is not the case. A little bit more. You just kind of tread water. Well, we've been treading water, but the problem is, somebody said, well, we've sunk. Well, no, we're right where we were.
Blaming me?
We're right where we were 50 years ago. The problem is, with inflation and all of that, we've gone way down. We have got to start to look at, we put goals and objectives in those job descriptions. If you don't meet those, we get somebody else. Now, the 2 jobs that we're talking about, total combination of the salaries will be $263,121.50, or just call it $263,000. I know that's very high for Michigan City. If you establish the right goals and objectives, they will definitely earn those salaries. The position I'm talking about, a redevelopment director and redevelopment business manager. Now, some of the things that they're going to have to work with, energy problems and how we deal with those in terms of the databases that are being established or potentially established in Michigan City. The situation with NIPSCO and how that is to be handled, and the understanding of what it will do to Michigan City, and letting the rest of us understand that also. Tariff possibilities, and now I'm on a totally different subject, but the president has definitely initiated a tariff policy. It's reciprocal policies in terms of the percentage of tariffs We need to understand that, and we need to know what industries should we be going after and looking at. We need to get their financial statements and understand, are they somebody who would be willing to come here? Do they need water? Do they need sanitation? Or do they need some things that we can't provide? In addition to that, we need to handle upgraded training, which means that one or both of these positions is going to have to establish a liaison with the school system, and they are going to have to get the school system to understand that we need to have students functioning at a much greater level than 28, let's just call it 30%, where 30% of our student body apparently is at grade level with both reading and math. We need to increase that within the next year or 2 years by 20%. These people need to be dealing with the school system on that subject. They also need to be dealing with the school system in terms of the training that we're going to need to attract the kind of businesses we want, and also dealing with Ivy Tech in that area, in the kinds of classes that Ivy Tech has available. If we do this, we may be able to overcome the idea of being overwhelmed. You should not be overwhelmed in your goals and objectives. They may be difficult, and you may have to work a lot of overtime, but you're management, and that's part of a management job. Period. End of sentence.
In support of this $267,000.
63.
In support of the funds for this new individual, the Redevelopment Commission, as of December, or as of January 1st of this year, has $15 million in their checkbook. $15 million.
Well, as long as they use it wisely, and as long as they use it to bring in the kinds of jobs that we need in Michigan City, and the kinds of industries that we need in Michigan City, that $15 million will be well spent. Just like if these two people do their job, that will be well spent. Are they going to get the job done? First of all, how are we going to set up objectives for them? What will they need to accomplish? And if they accomplish that, hey, they're well worth it. Now, I realize for Michigan City salaries, that's very high. But on a nationwide basis, this is not real high. This is basically the middle of the road. And one of the things I did, now I have to get into a little bit of personalities or personal situations, is I came back to Michigan City after being in the Navy for 5 years and went to work for Pullman as an accountant. After about 2.5 years, I didn't suddenly figure out, I knew darn well I was getting underpaid. So the next thing I started looking for was a corporation that paid management on the basis of national salary levels and not local salary levels. I left to go to that corporation, which was Whirlpool, and got a very nice salary increase, one way above I thought I would ever get, because they paid on a national basis. Management people, because they wanted to be able to move management people around. They wanted to be able to hire management people from Florida, California, wherever. And to do that, you're going to have to pay them on that basis. And I managed to do financially a lot better than I ever thought I would do. But that's the reason for hiring people on a national basis and paying them on a national basis, is you're out to get the best people you can get, people that will achieve their goals.
So I would ask, because every business and the public needs to do this too, you have to have quantifiable goals to begin with.
Yes.
And that takes some vision in the future on where I want to be. And those quantifiable goals should be, did they bring in X number of jobs? Did they bring in X number of population? Did they bring in, do we have, these are quantifiable, bright line goals. We can know how many people moved to Michigan City. We know how many jobs we created. We know how many building permits, residential, commercial.
How many people in the school system went from the 30th percentile, or let me rephrase that, the 70th percentile up to the 45th or 50th percentile.
Well, I'm talking about these positions in the planning department, and maybe you have a base salary, because we see this in the private world too, and you get paid bonuses for achieving these goals. So maybe your base salary is $50,000, and if you bring in 1,000 jobs the year, then you get the extra $50,000. If you don't get it. So there's things that need to be done.
That would be one way to handle the situation. I'd certainly agree with that. The other thing you have to look at is, Was there something put in as a roadblock that you couldn't achieve those 1,000 jobs this year?
Well, then
but you go to the next year and you eliminate the roadblock.
Yeah, you plead those cases. And I just had a student last week say something about, I can't get my project to you by next week because I'm working on a big project, because these are students at work, and I'm working on a big project and I won't be able to get to you for 2 days. Well, are you going to count my points off? I said, well, plead your case and I will decide whether it's worth it, or you're just telling me that you're not going to get the assignment turned in. That's the way all of our jobs go. And I think I've said this about many jobs. You can give them a base salary and then incentivize them to get the other money. And if they don't, and that'll tell you a lot about the person you hire. If they can't achieve the goals and something keeps getting in the way and they can't fix getting in the way, then maybe that's not the person for the job. And that's not a dig on anyone. It's just not a good fit. I'm sorry, we got to move a different direction because we're not achieving the goals that we have to achieve.
That has to happen. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen because people get involved in friendships. I can't fire him, or I can't let him go. He's my buddy that I play cards with, or something like that. That's ridiculous. This has got to end, and we have got to start achieving these goals, or we're going to be a third-class city.
Now, on that point, going back to transparency again, the city of Michigan City has an established population. The population of Pot Park is 317 residents, Michiana Shores 420, Duneland Beach 301, Trail Creek 2016, Long Beach 1169, Cool Spring unincorporated 15,501 residents. Those are people that reside around the city of Michigan City. Don't you think a simple solution that maybe these new people from the Redevelopment Commission, once they hire them, may look at the population of the surrounding cities of the city of Michigan City and possibly
half of them or more are going to live in those non-Michigan City areas.
but have a conversation with these entities to find out what they need to retain the city of Michigan City's second-class status. I would think that would be a goal. That would be the initial, because right now, look at cause and effect. We got a problem. Our problem is mandated on January 1st, 2027. Well, we got a solution. That's all that somebody has to do is communicate. Look at Trail Creek. A majority of the residents of Trail Creek are on septic. Look at Long Beach. The majority is on septic. This County Board of Health is going after them because they don't comply with the state legislation pertaining to their septic systems. Something can be done, tangibly can be done, to make the population of Michigan City exceed 31.5 simply by talking. And what do you need, Tony?
Well, yeah, you win both ways there. If you go to look at a neighborhood and say, hey, we'd like you to annex to Michigan City, you're right adjacent to us, and you find out if their answer is yes or no, and if their answer is no, you find out, well, why did you move here? What made you leave Michigan City? And they're going to probably be pretty honest with you, and then you need to go correct those actions. I had this discussion at NERC, Northern Indiana Regional Plan Commission, as a surveyor. I was a member, and they passed the 2040 plan. And they went on for, 40 minutes with this consultant about how great the 2040 plan was for Northwest Indiana. And then I got done and I asked the guy, and the whole commission, I said, well, did you take into account, because the plan was to take people in these areas and force them back to town. I said, did you take into account crime, noise, tension, taxes? Did you look at any of those things to wonder why these people left? Oh no, that's too detailed. We just want these people to move back into town. Well, they left for a reason. Mm-hmm. And they probably didn't like leaving, but they knew that it wasn't going to change, so they left. So you had to ask them, what can we do to help you back? Because I'm sure with certain circumstances, they would like to have sewer, water, fire protection, police, things that the other areas don't have as good as Michigan City.
Well, I think it's in the state law. We'd have to look it up. But if you annex or you merge with somebody, you have, as a city, a certain amount of time, and I think it's like 1 year,
Not very long, yes, to
Yeah.
provide them services.
to provide, and that's what everybody thinks about water and sanitation, and that's true, but also police and fire.
Police
You've
and
got-
fire.
Now, the fire thing is already there because we've got these agreements of mutual aid, so regardless, we would have to come to their aid if
Well,
they had a fire.
When Sheila was married, and everyone was
And by
kind
the
of,
way, I agree with those mutual aids, but go ahead.
when Sheila was married, everyone was kind of wondering why she was putting the fire stations out more towards the edge of town, because she was hoping to take that one check off the checklist that if you annex them, they have fire protection because they're within the radius of the fire station.
Yeah.
And you pay, your home insurance is predicated on how close you are, partly on how close you are to the fire station. So if your house catches fire, they can get to you pretty quickly, and how good the support is.
Additional support information. In 1980, the population of Michigan City was 36,850 people. In 1990, it was 33,822 people. In 2000, it was 32,900 people. In 2010, it was 31,479 individuals. In 2020, it was 32,075 individuals, and in 2024, it was 31,542 individuals. Don't you think that a simple solution to retain the status of the city of Michigan City, because you can see it from 80 to 24, it sort of went down 5,000 individuals, plus we're going to lose 2,500 from the prison. Don't you think somebody could go out and negotiate something with these communities to say, hey, what can you do to help? And we can provide you, as you said, fire, police, sanitation, and so on?
Well, the problem isn't fire, police, sanitation, and water. The problem is decent paying jobs. Because really what's happened is the population of Michigan City, now you'd actually have to check all the census reports, look at the age documents and that type of thing. I think you're going to find that we are losing the population somewhere between 18 and 50, maybe 18 and 40, because those are the people that are leaving Michigan City to get the better jobs. You know, my son is an example of that, a big example of that. He wound up in Arizona. An interesting factor, well, he graduated from Purdue with an electrical engineering degree, and he went into the one industry that was out of Michigan City, that was down at Purdue, and interviewing students. He walked into the room, they looked at his record, and they said, you're way overqualified for anything in that area. He wound up in Arizona. Because we don't have the companies that hire those kinds of people. Now that's got to be part of the situation that we've got with these two people. And we've got to be able to say, you're going to bring in at least 50 or 100 jobs that are going to employ people who have engineering degrees. And then you're also going to have to say, and encourage people who you do employ to live within the Michigan City School District. Notice how I said that, the Michigan City School District. Because one of the problems that's happening is people are not real satisfied with the Michigan City School District, so as a result of that, they move to New Prairie. They move to Valparaiso. They move to a school district, but they still work here, including teachers.
I'm just saying,
If you're going to take our money as a teacher, then you want to live not necessarily in Michigan City, but in the school district.
well, that should also apply to fire and police. And we've got individuals that are on the police department, the Michigan City Police Department, and you can see the Michigan City police cars driving to South Bend
Yeah, yeah.
to their homes.
Yeah.
Again,
Well, that's the problem. We should not let them take the car out of Michigan City. That's where we ought to put
well,
the stop.
but this police department has a take-home policy that they
Yes, but
implemented.
the problem, that should end at the Michigan City School District.
I agree.
Yes, you can't take the car any farther than that.
So what I'm doing here is I'm consolidating my sense of direction for the community, and just by these various projects that accumulate to 318 potential homes in a city, Michigan City, is not going to resolve the problem. Possibly these two individuals will see the value that's outside the perimeter. Right now, we could pick up Pot Park, 317 people to add to our population.
Yeah, they asked.
We should have done that.
We should have done that during,
5
I
years
believe,
ago.
Mears administration. I'm just saying, the solutions are there. We just need somebody smart enough to initiate something to maintain our status. That's all I'm saying.
When you say smart enough, it's a couple of things. It's not only smart enough, it's also the drive to do it. You have to have.
Yeah, true, yeah, yeah.
You have to have a willingness to go in there and, in many cases, work a lot more hours than the hourly work.
But what I'm saying, Bob, is I'm talking about 50 years of frustration on my part.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because this existed back when I was on the city council. Same thing.
You have to have a carrot to entice them to do this.
Yes.
If you just pay them, hey, you get $100,000 and we hope you get things done. Oh, it's the next year. We didn't get. Okay, that's fine. We'll pay you $100,000. We hope you get the things done. If you paid them $50,000 and said your other $50,000 is jobs, population, building permits, residential, commercial, maybe they will have a better carrot. But I want to go back because you've seen it in planners. The planners make up the direction that you'd want to go in your city, municipality, county, whatever you are, and then you enforce a joint zoning ordinance to try to get that to happen. And I sit and I talk to lots of planners, and they have these great ideas and they sound good, but we know that they don't work, because if everything the planner said was great and it worked, Michigan City and Chicago and these municipalities would be booming, but they're not. And we know they're not booming because what's South Shore spending? What do they spend? $1.5 billion or something, $900 million to do the South Lake connection. So they're trying to get people that have moved out of the municipalities who are south of South Lake County, who drive their cars to parking lots to get on the train to go to Chicago.
Westlake Corridor project is $224 million.
Well, so far. It's going to be.
That's through December of 2000.
I think it's like 1.5 or whatever. It's a big number. They're paying to create a train route to pick up people in the suburb because they don't want to live in town. They have chosen to leave to drive further because they don't want the crime, the noise, the taxes, the tension, and they left. And we have to figure out, every city has to figure out why that happens in town. When we have a town and we build apartments and townhomes and condos and small close lots, why it doesn't work? Why it's supposed to work, and economy of scale, that the more people you have using the same services, the price goes down, but it doesn't, because people are still fleeing. And for whatever reason, they're leaving. But that planner and that planning department has to figure that out, and what would entice people back to Michigan City to enjoy the sewer, the water, the police, the fire, and everything else we have to offer in town. And that's almost an impossible task, because they're fighting something that by its very nature doesn't work.
I don't think anybody...
No, but just having been there and having had goals established before me, and this may work. When you're talking about that city planner, I'm going to look at who has to get a number of people back into Michigan City. I'm going to look at people who are over the age of 50, whose children are raised. In addition to that, I'm going to look at single people. Maybe they're in their 30s, 35, 40, and see what I can do to entice those people into Michigan City, because I have to meet a number. Didn't say anything about they had to have 2 kids.
Or where they came from.
Yeah.
You could go to Florida. Florida has a huge problem right now. You can read some articles that there's too many people down there and they can't even get medical care. They're waiting weeks and months. Some of those people are coming back here to get medical care because they can't get to a hospital. They have hospitals, but they don't have people. They're waiting months and months and months for an appointment. And this is United States of America. So maybe some of those people would like to move back to Michigan City because we have a good hospital.
Well, not only that, the way you do that is, you won't have to give up your home in Florida. Get a condo here in Michigan City. Come up, and if you don't want to take advantage of our homestead exemption, you can just live there 3-4 months out of the year.
But that's not establishing permanent residency. That's what we need.
Well, they could live here 6 months out of the year and move there 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, again, that's 90 condominiums, and there's 160 hotel rooms in this solar project. So
you've got to start thinking out of the box.
Oh, yes.
And-
you have to.
Oh, yes.
And that's what, and the other thing you could do is go look at the marina. I wonder how many people
A
would
lot of
keep
people
their
live
boat
there.
in here for 6 months,
Yeah.
and establish it as their homestead, and then move. We kick them out of here before they can do that.
Were those individuals included in
We had
this?
2 of them that got included.
2?
Yeah, well, 2 boats worth, okay.
But
Man
again-
and a wife, but yeah, okay.
But
4
again, there are
people.
how many boats in a marina that possibly
There's 6
went under the radar?
This is why I'm saying down the road, we're gonna have to think about another marina. There were 670 slips, and I think every one of them was occupied.
Waiting list, waiting list. Yeah, and we don't have to look to Florida or Texas or Arizona. We can look right here to Illinois. Boy, there are a lot of people looking for a place to go right now because they are fed up with Illinois. And in fact, some of the counties want to get out of Illinois. And in fact, Indiana passed a law that says if they want to leave, we would welcome to be annexed into the state of Indiana. We don't have to go very far. What is that, 45 minutes? Get over there and start getting some people.
Yeah,
And that's why I say, if you incentivize people with a base salary and some goals, people, jobs, population, building permits, commercial, residential, whatever you want, they would find a way to go seek out these low-hanging fruit and get people to move here and be citizens of Michigan City.
Well,
in fact, part of that is happening. And it even shocked me.
By default, I think.
What?
By default. I mean, I don't think we're really reaching out to people. I think we're just blessed with the prison and
Not
hopefully...
Michigan City, it's the southern part of the county.
No, I mean in Michigan City, the prison and NIPSCO, we're going to be blessed with those projects of people coming here. And that's fine. If you hire a planner and they somehow find 100 people a year to meet their quota because of the prison and NIPSCO, then good. That's fine.
Yeah, because we're trying to get to a certain number of people to establish.
And that's why I want to start. You're looking at, in the future, what number am I trying to get to? City of LaPorte, Tom Dermody says he wants 30,000 by 2030. He laid that down. That's almost an impossible task, but he laid it down. This is 2025. That's 5 years. Say LaPorte has what? 20,000? I don't know. It might be a little over 20,000. You need 10,000 people in 5 years. 10,000 divided by 5 is 2,000 people a year. Divided by 4 for the families, that's 500 families a year that the city of LaPorte needs. So that's a lofty goal. But Mayor Dermody put it out there. He said the number. So I don't know what Michigan City could be. Say we go 40,000 by 2040. Let's put it out there.
Yeah,
Let's see. It's a lofty goal. But until you start putting a goal out there, yeah, I'm just going to keep doing my
but
job
the
every day.
planner and that department have to be working toward that goal
Yes.
every year. It can't just be, we're gonna be 40,000 in 2000.
Well, then you break down backwards.
Yes,
I
you break it down
15
year by year.
years.
Here's your goal.
15 years, I need 10,000 people. So that is what? 10,000 divided by 15 years is what? 750?
I wasn't paying attention, but go ahead.
15 years to get 10,000 more people. That's 750 people a year. This is a good goal.
Yeah,
And maybe they don't get the full 50,000 because they don't get 750. Maybe you give them 25,000 if they get 200 people in a year. I don't know.
but you've got to establish goals, and they have to meet those goals. And that's something we have never done. That also
No,
goes
I don't think
for the
anyone-
school setting. They have got to start to meet goals of getting these kids to grade
10
level
minutes.
by the time they graduate. And it's got to be up, to me, it should be over 75%.
The first time I've ever heard it was Mayor Dermody did it. And I thought, wow, that's bold. That's huge. 30,000 by 2030 for the city of LaPorte. Michigan City should say, all right, we got you to the 30,000 by 2030. We're going to do 40,000 by 2040. Game on.
Yeah,
everything that we're saying today, ladies and gentlemen, was said back in 1989 by the city council adopting a resolution that was supposed to tell the various boards and the plan of zoning appeals to sort of hold back on some of your strict restrictions and make it palatable for those people who want to come. We said that in 1989, and And if you look at today's meetings, they're doing the same thing, restricting new construction, new development, the size of their trees and so on. They're doing the same thing today, 50 years later. And maybe these individuals, there should be an addendum to their responsibility that specifically says that all of these various boards and commissions better listen to the edict that these people create. Because right now, the city of Michigan City, through its present boards and commissions, are doing the same thing they did for the last 50 years. And the only thing that we're doing is looking for solutions. And one of the best solutions is maybe like what Musk is doing. Eliminate all of these ancillary boards that are preventing a development and growth in this community. Maybe that's a solution.
Musk has it right.
You have to create the atmosphere. You do need the rules, but you got to create the atmosphere in which you adhere
need
to
rules.
them.
You need rules with
So a couple
that make
things-
Well,
sense.
you start with competitive people.
Well, and a couple things. So I'm a licensed professional state of Indiana as a surveyor. I had a project over in Porter County that we were going to build some homes and a development. I think it was 4 homes. They probably would have been $2 million homes each. We spent 8 months, never got approval. And one of the craziest things that happened in one of my reviews of this subdivision was that I didn't sign my signature in the right place on the piece of paper. There's no law in the state of Indiana that tells a professional where they have to sign. You have to seal it, you have to sign it. I have documentation that the reviewing authority said I wasn't signing it in the right place on the piece of paper, and I want to bring that up because California has a bunch of fires and people's houses burned down. There are things going on like that in California where they have to prove what house was there that burned down before they can rebuild it. And that means they have to have the architectural plans signed by a licensed professional to prove to the city what was there so they can rebuild it. An individual went to he helped his mom, was going to rebuild her house, and they said, I have to have the architectural plans. They said it burned down in the house. They went to the city and they said, okay, you have a copy of them. We had to file them. They said, yes, you're right, we have a copy. But the architect has to recertify this set of plans. So the architect recertified it. And they brought it in for approval, and they said, no, you have to get the architect to sign right here. If they don't sign right here next to their seal, we can't accept it. That's the things that go on, whether we like to know it or not, in every municipality that are just nonsense, that don't help us grow in any way, that we just block ourselves off. And I see as a professional, not in Michigan City so much, and definitely not in LaPorte County, and not in the city of LaPorte, but you talk about St. Joe, LaPorte, Porter, Portage, Valpo, you go over to one of those places to see what you got to do to get your house built. You wouldn't believe it. For what?
How are we setting on time?
Like 5 minutes. I think.
5 minutes?
It doesn't help you for your public. It doesn't protect the public safety, health, and welfare. That's what the administration is here for. If we're going to do things that are silly like that and hold up projects for weeks and months, that's an atmosphere that an administration has to make sure happens. And it doesn't take much to figure out what it is. It maybe take 2 or 3 people to tell you. We've got to change our atmosphere.
Just for closing, I want to get one thing in because I want to talk about a little bit about these tariffs that President Trump is putting in. Basically, what these tariffs are, they are reciprocal. And they work like this, and I'm going to give an example out of the automobile industry. Right now, Europe has a 10% tariff on cars that they import from the United States. We have a 2.5% tariff on cars that we import from Europe. And you're talking about high-value cars, which means that our trade deficit goes up even a lot more proportionately, because basically the cars we're sending to Europe are mid-sized cars with a middle price. The cars they're sending over here, in a lot of cases, are Mercedes, Audis, and things like this that have a high value on them. So last year, we imported from Europe 700,000 automobiles. They imported from us 270,000, which tells me that one of the things our economic development people ought to be looking at is, what about car parts and industries that are in the car parts business, especially those that are critical? We got to find out who those are, and we got to sit down and think that we can attract some of those people. And we got to start getting out the information on them. And this is where your management people got to spend some nights doing the homework. not days when they're looking after hourly and supervising hourly, but at night. That's why they're management.
Gotta think out of the box. I believe in giving people a chance, and if they step up and they're gifted, fine. If it doesn't fit and it's not working and they haven't meet their goals, we got to move on.
Yeah.
It's not mean. It's not personal. Michigan City needs to move on. You talked about we're just treading water. Yeah, we're probably treading water in the current of the stream, and the current's going right by us. We need to be swimming.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, for lunch today, I had a can of pineapple, okay, that I purchased from Meijer for, I think, $1 a can or something like this. And take the time to read the label on the bottle. I've got the label right here. The pineapple is distributed by the Meijer Corporation out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and it's a product of Indonesia. Now,
At least it's not China.
Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Indonesia is in Southeast Asia. And I believe Hawaii is before you get to Southeast Asia. But yet I had a product that I bought at Meijer, a can of 8 ounces of pineapple for $1. That was because Bob was talking about tariffs.
Yeah.
I just wonder if there are going to be compulsory tariffs between the state of the United States and Indonesia over $1 can of processed pineapple.
Oh yeah.
Think about it. Think about it. Read the label on the bottle. Bottom line.
Wait a minute, we got to do one more thing. David, did you remember to get your wife a Valentine's Day present?
No, she yelled at me today, and
I did it last night.
I reminded her it was Valentine's Day, and she just walked right by. Last but not least, I was on the computer last night, and there was an opera singer. His name was Mike Rowe, who back in the 80s, he was singing opera, and I guess he either got fired or he couldn't find a job, a substantial job. Anyway, he now has a microworkforce.org, and they provide scholarships to individuals for construction projects who want to learn the construction trade and so on. If you want to watch the interview, I saw the interview on News Nation, a TV channel, and then I punched in microworks.org. It was very interesting about his particular foundation.
He's well known nationally.
He's well known nationally, but he started as an opera singer.
Yeah.
We're getting last minute, Bob.
I had my say.
Tony.
Nope. That was fun.
Again, there are solutions out there, but we need authoritative individuals to not only look at city services, but also look at the status of the city of Michigan City to maintain its city of a second class. I want to thank everybody for watching. Your input as to improvements or criticism of this program is greatly appreciated. Please contact the Tri-Co producer, Bob Pollock, Dave Beeler, or Tony Hendricks with your comments. You can email Bob at skrpollock at gmail.com, Dave at djbeeler1 at hotmail.com, or Tony at emailagm at yahoo.com, or you may direct your ideas for any future shows to our one and only Pain in the Neck staff writer, Sarah Bellum. Showing our program will be Saturday morning at 10 a.m., also Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m., and additional numerous times when Andy has some dead time to fill. Also, you may watch our program Navigate News and Views at on Navigate News and Views. That's
YouTube.
On YouTube. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching, and make it a good day.